everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Tales of Agmar podcast. I'm your host, Sinjin, and today we will continue to go into Gander's backstory leading up to the first book. And so we'll kind of see what happens. He's the main protagonist. This could go longer than 3, but we're shooting for at least 3 in this sort of mini-series. Anyways, just so that you know, right, last time we kind of covered, we did cover the same thing, except he was 10. There's a time skip, and so it's about 3, it's more than 3 years. It's a couple years ahead, because if you listen to the Ellonist Republic cast, they graduate at 16 from like a high school equivalent. And so that is what's happening here. Also, I did a bit of a twist on his backstory, just so you all know. I did cover briefly one time in one of those many Ellonist Republic casts that he was going to meet Mace in grade school. And then if you remember right, we kind of covered some like grade school last time. And I just looked over a couple things, a couple notes, and realized that it'd just be better if I had him meet in like the high school equivalent. And so that's what's going on. Is today we're actually going to cover Gander and Mace meeting for the first time and like kind of their first date together as friends. At least a chunk of it. Anyways, I also realized last time that the script had autocorrected to Desmos instead of Devos for Gander's home planet, so that's my bad. Autocorrect and I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to making up words for Tales of Agmar, and so that happens quite frequently sometimes, and I don't always catch those during script writing and during production of the cast. So, sorry for all that in advance and in past stuff. Anyways, today, one more thing. I gave some last names and some first names out to characters that have always existed, but I just didn't really have good names for them yet. And so their names could change. I think most of the first names won't, but last names could. Specifically, not Gander's. His last name might also change, which we've talked a little bit about, but Mace's last name might end up changing. You'll kind of see it brought up. If you think it's cool, let me know. I'm just trying to workshop last name ideas because I came up with first names pretty easily, but last names have been kind of hard recently. But anyways, book updates before we get into the weeds here. It's going pretty good. I would argue. I've had some stuff going that's made it slow down just a tad, but this week's looking pretty good, and so I should be able to get back up there and keep chugging along. Like I've been saying, we're super close to the end of this like big draft, and so once this big draft is over, almost all of my notes should be tied into the book, and then we'll be able to, specifically I'll be able to run through and then make it so that it sounds a little more coherent, fix some grammar, etc., give characters kind of their own style of speaking, which I tried to do during writing, but that didn't always come out as well as I hoped it would. And so I'm hoping that I'll be able to do a little bit more of stuff like that, so that when you guys are reading it during that hopefully soon sort of like beta reading era, then it'll be good. But yeah, also notes on that, I'm thinking about using Royal Road. So comment down below on whether you are like, oh, Royal Road sounds good, or if you have other ideas. It's just, that seems like a platform that the book would be pretty accessible to most people, and then just also be able to introduce it to new audiences pretty well. And that's a big thing, as an author, that I'm really hoping is just to introduce the book to new audiences, because, right, in my opinion, it's super good. It is really good. Tons of people tell me that all the time. But just the more people it can be exposed to, especially during the beta reading process, the better feedback I can get on maybe things that are working, things that aren't working, before we really start to world build this super big. Well, before I get super big into the world building and stuff gets set in stone, and then it doesn't pan out that well for the rest of you. Because, right, even though at the end of the day it is my own thing, I do want people to let me know if like stuff covered, it just like doesn't make that much sense even in a fantastical world such as Tales of Agmar. So that's just one of like my big concerns there. Anyways, in the show notes you can find a link to our Discord and our Ko-fi. Right, the Discord is just like that free community where you guys can come gather, chat, share any theories you get, kind of get some sooner updates, ask me better questions. Like I said last week, I'm trying to make a commitment where I check the Discord at least once a day, and so we're getting a little bit better there. But anyways, the Ko-fi is just a little kind of like donation box, really, where if you want to support the cast financially at this time, you're more than welcome to. That goes into improving the quality of the cast, as well as just getting concept art out for some of the characters. So we have like the Conjure one out. I've got a Gander and an Aster in the works. We also have Klep in the works, and so it'll get there. Right, these things will come out. Hopefully it'll be exciting. As the book comes out, we might start investing some more of that money into securing an artist to do like the cover of the book, depending on what sounds cool to everybody. But we'll tackle more of that when the book's actually finished and it's out. All right, lastly, if you are enjoying the cast, please consider giving us a follow, a like, subscribe wherever we're at. Wherever you found us. Let us know you like it. It means so much to me as a new aspiring author, storyteller, really trying to build an audience for this book before it hits shelves and everything, even though those shelves are mostly digital, and then it, makes it to you as a physical copy. That's another big thing too, is I'm really hoping to get the book out to people in a physical form and not just have it be online forever, just because I really like the feeling of paper books. But yeah, anyways, without further ado, here is Tales of Agmar for this week. Gander stood facing the entrance to the Academy for Young Citizens on Devos. It was a fine establishment, exactly similar to the junior academy he had spent his younger years learning at. He was 14 now, leaving him another 2 years before he could enter into the academy on Ragash and fully fulfill his life's dream of becoming an ACE specialist. His next 2 years would thankfully be geared towards what he wanted to do for the rest of his life, the military. There are still some standard arithmetic, language, and history courses he would need to take, but the brunt of his time could now be devoted to learning the art of war. He walked through the front doors, ready to continue his education through the state, when one of the school officials stopped him. "Gander," he said, "it's good to see you this morning. Exactly 15 minutes early, as usual." "Yes, sir," Gander replied. Gander had started learning to leave school a little bit earlier, especially since he had started here, as most of the proctors preferred that. And seeing as his father was out dealing with the current outbreak of the Zypox, he had lots of time on his hands. "Your timing couldn't be better. I have a task for you." The official finished and looked behind him at another student who had a warm brown undertone to his complexion. Gander followed his eyes and waved. Possibly a new student, he thought to himself. There wasn't very much of those. "A new student?" he asked. "Yes, perceptive as always. I was hoping you could show him the ropes. He just came from one of the outer colonies, and his family has shown great promise in the Marine Corps. His father was also just promoted. Thus how they ended up here." "Oh," Gander exclaimed, hoping that this could lead to some direct information about their current war against the rebels on Unix. "What's his track?" "Young field officer, just like yours." "Really?" Gander grew slightly suspicious of the little too perfectness of this task. "I would be more than happy to comply." "Ah, spoken like a true Ellonist. Good luck with your assignment." "Thanks." They both returned a salute to the other and went their separate ways. Gander walked over towards the new student. "Hi," he gave a sly wave this time. "My name is Gander. What's yours?" He stuck out his hand, unsure how to greet somebody his age. The student grasped his hand warmly and firmly. "Mace Packstar, son of now Colonel Packstar of the 332nd Marine Corps." "Wait, no way. The 332nd just finished a major rotation on Flagmere, no? Crushing the last of the insurrectionists there?" "Yes, they absolutely did," Mace confirmed. "Your father is the Colonel Packstar who led the spearhead?" "The very same." "That's wild." Gander could tell he was going to like this guy. His doubts before kind of disappearing. You'll have to let me know more about it sometime. I definitely can. Say, where's my first class? I'd like to be a little early today. Oh, for sure. Follow me. We'll have the exact same schedule up towards graduation. Ah, gotta love the routine, Mace said in a matter-of-fact tone. Yes. Gander nodded his head. This guy was definitely his kind of person. The two walked down the hall towards the military-styled complex at the back of the school. So, Mace started. What is our first class? Structured fitness, he replied. Oh, I'm curious how this will line up with the colony school, Mace said. I was told by some people that this school would be a lot more hardened, especially since I'm looking to go into the ACE specialization next year. You too? Gander asked. Yes, I think the ACE program is going to be the next best thing in anti-rebel tactics. Alright, this is crazy. I think the same thing. Sounds like we're going to need to get a team together for the trial then. For sure. You want into mine? The school is still letting people create teams until the end of the month. I think that's a fantastic idea, Mace said. Perfect. We can swing by the office at the end of the day and fill out the paperwork. They were getting close to the PT field when 3 figures started to approach them from the outside, the light masking their identities. Hey, Gander, what you got there? A new pet? Gander rolled his eyes, looking at Mace. How fast can you run? Why? His new friend asked. That's Jereb and his squad, as they call themselves. He pointed to the 3 individuals. They're a year above us and currently in the ACE specialization track. Their tactic for getting to Ragash is to intimidate the rest of us to just not even try out. Oh, and since fighting isn't allowed, we need to sprint to the other entrance. They'll just try to block our access to the yard, which, if we are late, could also result in a warning or expulsion. That's correct. Well, let's run, Mace said. You lead. Jereb moved up a little, revealing his face. When a senior's addressing someone, they need to pay the proper respect, Gander. In response, Gander bolted left. Mace followed, leaving Jereb no time to finish his rehearsed rant. Hey, he yelled back down the hall. Ah, he turned the 2 behind him. They're running for the other entrance. Block them. Now. They started sprinting along the outer wall with their leader in tow. After a little while, Gander abruptly paused, forcing Mace to a screeching halt. He held up a sign for quiet and slowly turned to look down the hall. Jereb wasn't visible, but they needed time for him and his crew to keep running the other way. He counted down from 3 and then lowered his hand. We should be good to walk into class now. They can't be that dumb. Will they really run that far? Yes, strangely enough, I have outpaced them the other 2 times before this. Last time, however, they got really close. Gander motioned for Mace to follow him as he turned back. It was really too close for comfort. And while I'd like to think the rules would protect me, I've seen those guys beat up a kid and, well, actually a few kids, and since then they've kind of lost their zeal to join the ACE program. They're still here, but they're not going to join the program. Really, Mace said. I've never been one for bullies. Me either, Gander agreed. Rebels, bullies, corrupt officials, they're all the same to me. That I can get behind, Mace finished as they walked onto the artificial terrain. It was a green plain with an orange track in the center. The very center of the track was sand. Real force-absorbing sand, the kind that sucked in any momentum or moisture when you were on it. They walked over to where the rest of their class was starting to gather. A girl approached Gander. Hey, have you seen Jereb and his friends? She asked. He wanted to talk before class, and I know sometimes he hangs around you. Oh, Gander said. Yeah, I saw them running around. They should be back soon. I can't believe he stood you up like that. He was having a hard time remembering her name. Celine. The girl shrugged. It's okay. Then she noticed the person next to Gander. Who's this? Your friend? Yes, Mace said. I'm Gander's friend, Mace. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, miss. A real gentleman, huh? Celine said while shaking his hand. "It's good to meet you." A whistle sounded and her head snapped, locking eyes with a figure in the center of the tract. "Looks like the proctor is here. See you guys around." Gander gave her a little wave, Mace a slightly more enthusiastic one. Then they started in the same direction like the rest of the class. "Well," Mace said, "she was quite something." "You could say that," Gander chuckled, "but we need to focus now." True. All right. Can you explain more why Jereb likes to do this? Gander said, "It's just his thing. I think he must get a kick out of it or something. But anyways, you stick with me, we should be fine." "Can do." The rest of the class went off without a hitch. Jereb and his gang got marked up for being 5 minutes late after they were found trying to blend in with the group during the starting run. At the end, they were informed. They were informed of this after the end of class. The proctor pulled the three aside. "This will be marked on your permanent record," she said. "Do not let it happen again." "It won't, ma'am," Jereb said while locking eyes with Gander. "We'll fix it promptly." "Good. Now off to your next classes." The class was dismissed, and Gander quickly led Mace off to the next one. "That Jereb guy looked pretty upset," he commented. "Yeah, we could be his next target." "Were we not before?" "Kind of, but now I'm thinking he might try to corner us after school or something." "Where do you live?" "The Northwest District area." Gander laughed again. "No way. Is your family the one that moved in at the end of last week?" "That is when we arrived after all the spaceport and gateship traffic." "That's wild. Because I live in the Northwest District, and someone just moved in across the street from me and my dad." "That is? You want to walk home together then?" "Absolutely. Now, we need to hurry. We need to hurry off to historical tactics. That proctor is especially passionate about being on time." They finished walking down the identical well-lit concrete halls. Gander kept checking behind him to make sure that Mace was keeping up, surprised at how quickly he had told people he was Gander's friend. Then again, it was actually kind of nice to have a friend. Historical tactics class went the same way it always did. The entire class did their best to stay awake while listening to Proctor Quarmes lecture to them. It was 2 hours that most of them would never get back in their lives. But for Gander, it was heaven on Devos. Here he could follow along and keep up with the professor as tactics proven or disproven in real combat were discussed and laid out before him. He used this class as a constant inspiration for new tactics to use during mock battles in Milsim's 101, as well as when playing combat games with his father. Thankfully, this was slowly translating into the game, and he was getting better at winning more games against him. Their last match, however, ended in a tie, which had left him reeling, so he was really hoping to get something new out of this class period. Then, his father had also left on a work trip again, over a month ago, so he had some time before they would play again. The Zypox virus had been spreading throughout the colonial area of the Republic for the past year. His father was usually on one of those planets affected, working to perfect a vaccine. It was a long and laborious process, involving lots of testing and retesting. But when he had last talked to his father, it sounded like he was hopeful that a cure would come out of the long days and nights ahead. The proctor said something that made Gander snap back to reality. And that is how the faint tactic fell into the backdrop of history. That made Gander question. He had paid attention to the rest of the lecture, but left a note in his note chip about searching the historical files for why the feint had failed. It was something he needed to know, seeing as he had just used it earlier that day. At the end of the lecture, he grabbed Mace. "Come on, let's go hit up the cafeteria. We don't have much time until Milsim's 101. "Ugh, okay," came a dreary response. "I didn't know someone could talk to themselves for that long." "You'd be surprised," he said. "The political majors deal with that all day, I've heard." "Oh, may Ellon bless them." "You can say that again." The walk to the cafeteria was full of Gander half introducing Mace to every person he started talking to. most of them women. He didn't really mind, though. The talking was a nice break from the usual silence that most of his days were filled with. He was also beginning to think that from now on his days weren't going to be very quiet anymore. A problem, but one he could solve. While on the line waiting for their trays, Gander caught Jereb looking at them from across the room. He nudged Mace. "Don't look." But Jereb's got his eye on us. Mace kept looking forward. "He's still hurting after this morning?" "I would put Mari on it, he is." "How much?" 10. "Deal. I'll match you," Mace said. "Okay, but you don't have that much on you," Gander snickered. I'm good for it. They got to the front of the line and paid for their meal, picking up some trays as well. "What do you think is on the menu today?" Mace asked Gander. "Probably the same ration meal it always is." Mace's face twisted, then grew jovial again. "And here I thought the people in the inner plains..." Mace's face twisted, then grew jovial again. "And here I thought the people in the inner plane would have much better tasting food than us in the colonies. I guess the war really does hit everyone hard." "Yeah," Gander agreed. "It doesn't help much that for the past 3 years the Republic has been stuck in battles with numerous insurrectionist cells." "True that." Mace grew a little solemn. "I hope we will be the ones to put a stop to it." "Agreed. By the rate things are going, we're going to have to fight a lot harder than most. The whole Republic seems to be growing tired of this war. More planets join the rebels every day." "Blasted rebels," Mace said. "Next," called the lunch lady. "What will it be today, boys?" she asked. "We've got option 1 and option 2. Gander inspected both of the options. One looked to be a strange pasta with meat slop, while the other appeared to be a broth with minimal amounts of vegetables and stew meat, including a minimal amount of broth, actually. "I'll take option 1, he said while placing his plate on the counter. "Done," the lady said. "And anything for you?" "For me, madam. I will have option 1 as well." "Ah, such a charmer," she noted. He saw that Mace got a larger scoop than most. Not that he really cared. Either way, the stuff tasted the same. They walked through the rest of the line, picking up a drink, a slice of sawed-off bread, and a small chocolate bar. Standard on-base ration. "This does seem to be more than we get in the colonies," Mace said. "It would appear there are some benefits to living here." "I mean," Gander shrugged, "with the citizen index, there has to be benefits for staying with the Republic." The Republic is freedom," Mace remarked. As they sat down, Gander took note that Jereb was walking in their general direction. He quickly ate some food and motioned for Mace to do the same. Eventually, the bully was right in front of them. "So," he said, his voice cold and sharp, "did you think what you pulled today was hilarious?" "Extremely," they both agreed. "It was so funny we couldn't even laugh about it." "Is that so? Well, you better watch your back during mill sims today. I got our proctors to agree on a class versus class for the whole period." Gander looked at him skeptically. "That isn't as threatening as you make it sound," Mace said. "Gander here will stop you in your tracks." Jereb laughed, loud enough for the whole room to hear. Many turned to look at him, their faces filled with perplexed and concerned looks. Gander noted that he didn't seem to get the memo as he continued taunting them. "I'm going to embarrass the two of you so much that you'll want to leave this track forever." "Is that so?" Gander said. "Yes. I've got my class inserting via drop pod. Shock and awe, baby," he whooped and hollered as he left the two friends alone. Mace turned to Gander. "So you're worried too, right? Because you don't look worried. Those guys are a whole year ahead of us, and they're getting a tactical insertion. What are we going to be doing?" "Setting up a trap," Gander said. "He just told us his entire plan of attack. We're good." Mace blinked a few times before laughing to himself. "Do you know what? I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but I believe you're crazy enough to do it. Now we just..." He finished. "Now we just need to get the rest of our class on board," Gander said. They tried to hurry and finish their meal. Gander getting done before Mace, who was struggling with the larger portion. Once he had taken his last bite and downed his flavored water, the two got up and started for the door. As they continued, the manufactured hallways held their usual doom and gloom. As they continued to walk, the two bounced plans back and forth and came up with a foolproof plan that would hopefully result in the least amount of their classmates during the exercise, while also exacting the most amount of revenge on Jereb and his crew. Alright, thanks so much for listening, guys. Sorry I got a little tongue-tied throughout that. I'll try to edit that as best as I can. I also noticed this episode's just going kind of long, so we're just going to cut it there. We'll pick up again next week. We might be looking at a 4-part thing, but we'll see. I'll update you guys once we record and do all that jazz. But thank you so much for coming today, listening to the cast. I had a blast gathering all my notes and writing it for you guys. And if there's a part or a character that was mentioned that you guys really enjoyed or you want to see more of, definitely, let me know. I hope you guys really get this opportunity to fall in love with the characters, because I do. Well, all the protagonists, possibly a little too much. But, alright, also, I've been horrendously bad at doing this, but this cast gets new episodes every week on Monday at 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. So if you're all caught up now, it's depending on when you're listening to this, right? We're going to be coming at you Monday or Tuesday, depending on what side of the world you're on. But we will be continuing Gander's backstory, like I was saying. And yeah, it's going to be really good. And then once this is all done, just like we did with Chondros, we're going to be doing a compilation of them. And so that will just be everything back to back. I'll do some more additional editing to help it sound a little bit good, more like a congruent story. And then that way you guys can listen to it, or if you end up missing one, right? If you're listening to this and you're like, oh my goodness, like I got to keep starting new episodes, you can always just jump ahead to that one, right? But it's going to be really good. Anyways, thank you all again for coming. And until next time, this has been Sinjin with Tales of Agmar. And wherever you are, be a good one.